Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode. The governing body admits we don't know. That's the episode called. And you think, what? Governing body doesn't know? What do we don't know? Because almost the whole time the governing bodies say they know everything. And don't you dare question us. We are spirit directed. We are the voice of God. We are God's only channel. We are listening. Listening to us is like you listen to Jesus. We are the one and only true channel. We are the faithful and discreet slave. We are God Almighty on earth. And now we don't know. And I think this will raise a lot of eyebrows for the JWs who are starting to critical thinking a little bit. Why am I saying this? I was reading the latest Watchtower article, study edition. And there is a study, the third one, they're gonna study next year, I believe. Modestly accept what you do not know. Jehovah created us with the ability to think, to take in knowledge, to develop understanding. And we as the governing body are displaying that wisdom. We know everything. We know that you can grow a beard. We know that you can have tight pants. We know that we are in the final days, in the last days of the last days of the final part of the last days, and this and that. Brother Led, we all know him. And now they say we don't know, and you have to be modest about it. Just like Job, because Job was confronted with a series of questions that revealed just how much he didn't know. That experience humbled him and helped to correct his thinking. And now the weaseling starts in this article. Such modesty moves us to trust that Jehovah will reveal to us what we really need to know. So, you just have to be comfortable with not knowing, people. We know everything. We know what's best for you. You have to obey us without asking questions, even if it seems illogical, not logical, irrelevant. You just have to obey. If the brothers of the congregation gets the message from us that you have to move to Sedona, then you have to move to Sedona. You grab your backpack with your 72-hour emergency kit in it and you run for the hills, because we are the governing body and we know. And now we have to be modest about not knowing everything. So they are covering their tracks. And I will explain why. Because Jehovah's Witnesses are getting fed up with that waiting. I'm waiting already for 40 years. And in my short time here on Mother Earth, from the first thing I can remember from being a Jehovah's Witness, 7, 8 years old, was that the end was near. We had to full throttle ministry, full throttle into the congregation meetings. We had to be on our toes, edge of the seat. Every minute of the day, Armageddon was coming. And now we are not knowing when it's coming. That's the conclusion. So let me read a few things. Paragraph 4. We do not know when the end of the system of things will come. Even Jesus, while on earth, didn't know the day and hour. He later told the apostles that Jehovah, who's the great timekeeper, fancy word, make it mysterious, keeps the timing of certain events in his own jurisdiction or authority. Jehovah has scheduled the time for the end of this system, but we are not in a position to figure out precisely when that will be. So, Brother Led, why are you talking to us during the broadcast that we are in the final days of the final days of the last part of the last part of the last part? Why? Not necessary. Don't do it again. So, even Jesus doesn't know the time. But Jesus will take the lead in the war against Satan. So it's reasonable to conclude, the word salad starts, the weaseling words, that he knows the date for Armageddon now, because he's in heaven with his Father. So it's reasonable that Jesus knows. But only God knows, says the scripture. So God and Jesus are the same person, or there's a little bit of a difference in it. Paragraph 5. In view of what Jesus said, we do not know how long we will have to wait until the end comes. As a result, we might become impatient. Haha, they know their sheep. Sheep are getting impatient. Or discouraged, especially if we have already been waiting for some time. Like my father, already 70 years old, waiting, and doesn't think anymore that he will see Armageddon and go into paradise. It is possible to feel that if we knew the exact day that the end would come, we would be more patient and we would be able to endure ridicule more easily. Oh, and I skipped this one on purpose. Or we might find it hard to endure ridicule from family members or others. And there it is, people. We find it hard that we are ridiculed. Of course, you are preaching to your neighbor from the 70s. Armageddon is near. 1975, it will come. They predicted it, 1975, the last time. But Armageddon didn't come. And like me, I'm disfellowshipped. I'm no longer an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Maybe I see someone at a funeral. And then, Sven is living his best life. Sven is already in paradise. He is enjoying life with his furry friends and his wife. I'm a little bit jealous of Sven because he went after his goals. He does now what he likes. And I'm here still running in this rat race, running the treadmill, towing the line. For what? 10 years pass. Sven is still happy with his life, still enjoying nature, watching beautiful birds, watching the lions, watching the rhinos with the binoculars, sitting on his veranda, sipping a cup of coffee, and is in complete peace. But me, 15 years from now, I'm still doing the best I can in the ministry. I'm still busy with attending the meetings. Attending the meetings is becoming hard for me because it's like I'm listening to 2 years old debate in the sand outside in the playground. I have no stimulation in my brain to absorb anything I didn't know already. I want to learn. As a human being, you want to learn. You want to develop. And in that meeting, it's getting dumbed down every year more and more. You are getting broadcast after broadcast. And we are just addicted to seeing broadcasts. And the governing body knows everything. They control my life. They say to me what I have to do. And that I have to be sharp. That I have to be vigilant. That I must stand on my watchtower and look into the distance because Armageddon is approaching. And now we are getting here that Armageddon isn't coming because we don't know. but you want to serve Jehovah from out of love, not because you know an end date, and that's why you join the Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah was all the time in the Bible. He was very clear about what was gonna happen, and it also happened in a few years. Jehovah didn't let it just go thousands of years. It was always when he used a prophet or whatever, always during the life of that prophet, that something big was happening. And now we have 8-9 million Jehovah's Witnesses who are still hoping that something will occur. But, like it said, we might find it hard to endure ridicule from family members or others, or apostates. And think about the Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you are a Jehovah's Witness, think about this. I'm a good person. I'm not here harming other people. But I'm living the life with the capabilities I got from a source, a God, whatever you want to call it. I'm expanding. I'm learning. I have a mind that is open to everything, but attached to nothing. Not one single idea, like the Jehovah's Witnesses do. I have beautiful connections. I have people who encourage me. I have dreams I want to follow. I have things I want to do. Things that make me happy. I was cutting the grass here yesterday and I was happy. What's the difference between cutting the grass and the ministry? The ministry didn't make me happy. Jehovah is a happy God. If Jehovah is real, he invented the smile on my face. He was the one who invented the smile. He was the one who created feelings. If I'm doing things where I have a great feeling about, then Jehovah is also happy. Because when I'm happy, other people around me are happy, and God is happy. So it's understandable that people are now reflecting on their lives, and maybe most of them only do it at their deathbed, that they reflect on life and regret things. And that's why it's so good that you start with critical thinking. The governing body knows everything. They control every aspect of your life. They even tell you what's allowed and what's not allowed in the bedroom with your partner. What you can do and can't do. They control how you think about work. They control about how you think about education. They control about that you are giving money to that organization, how much time you must invest in that organization. They control that you are doing free labor for them. They control every aspect in your life. They know everything and they know what's best for you. And now we're coming to this, and that we have to be modest about what we do not know. And that's a trick, people. That's a big trick from the governing body. Because that trick buys them time and buys your loyalty. But at what cost? That is what you have to think about. What is it gonna cost me? Because it's normal to feel that you are ridiculed by family members and other people outside of that religion. Because those other people are living their life. They're enjoying their time. They go on a vacation. They enjoy other things. And you as a Jehovah's Witness are just shoveling the coal for the governing body, and you don't get anything in return for it. The only thing you have is that carrot on a stick that there is a paradise coming. But the chances are very high that you will never see that paradise. Paragraph 7. The last days began in 1914. There we are again. Jehovah has provided Bible prophecies that not only pinpoint that year, but also describe in detail the conditions that have prevailed since then. As a result, we are convinced that the great day of Jehovah is near. So, first what they do, and this is a mental game of the governing bodies. First they say, we don't know. Second, people are getting disappointed by that answer because that is not what they want to hear. That's like coaching somebody. If I'm coaching somebody and ask me, will my ex-boyfriend will return to me? If they are dependent on that ex-boyfriend, if they have the anxiety that someone is leaving them, if they are not fully full of self-love, they are attached to somebody, they are dependent on somebody, they are dependent on somebody's approval, and that's what the governing body is doing from childhood on. If I say to that person, I think you will never come back, then that person is disappointed. That's not the answer she wants to hear, although it's the truth. They don't want to hear that because they only want one answer to hear from you, and that is that it's gonna be all right. And then they say, oh yeah, and then they keep in that state, they keep themselves in that state that they are hoping that somebody is coming back to them who has already moved on. But people are conditioned, people are brainwashed, and they only want to hear, when they come to you for advice, they want to hear that one thing that reassures them that eventually, someday, maybe someday, they come back. And they hold on that thought, they cling to it. It's like plankton on a ship. They never let that thought go. And that's what the governing body is mastering, because they say we don't know, but in the end they say we know, that we are convinced. So that's that authority thing again. People look up to the governing body, and if the governing body approves of something, it's easier for them to adapt that thing, because they can't think for themselves. Those people are dependent on someone higher up, where they look up to say what they have to do. And that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses are. They are depending on something that guides them, because they are not used to think for themselves. And that's so important, that you develop that critical thinking for yourself. What also was remarkable, that 1914 is pinpointed here. Jehovah has provided Bible prophecies that not only pinpoint that year, but also describe it in details. The last 10 years I never heard something that backs this story up. In this Watchtower there's no footnote, there's no reference, there's nothing about 1914. So they keep a hold on 1914. It's an important part of the doctrine, but they can't explain it anymore in these days. They are running out of ideas, out of excuses to back 1914 up. It's like 607. It's crumbling on all sides that it wasn't 607 when Jerusalem fell. 1914, they can't produce any more things about that backs that story up. They're running out of ideas. There's not a footnote, no reference, nothing. So Jehovah's Witnesses are just they think they just eat that up. And they made it very clear that you don't question the governing body. We know everything. So on the other hand, they don't know about when the end is coming, but they know that 1914 is the year of the prophecy and blah, 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 blah. Where is that prophecy? And is that a valid reasoning that they are using? Because 1914 now, the last 10 years, maybe longer, it's only a number. It's not even backed up anymore by scriptures, prophecies, footnotes, references, whatever. So the governing body is running out of ideas. And now they have to adjust that we don't know, but it is for you to show Jehovah how much you love him without a date. Because if you had a date, you do it for the date. Now you can show that you do it for Jehovah out of love. So they are twisting it and they're making you, how do you call it? Responsible for your own luck. So they're, instead of a whole, now you're personally responsible if you're gonna make it, because now you can show Jehovah if you do it out of love or you do it because there is a date and stuff like that. In the meantime, you get ridiculed by everybody because you're getting 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. You see people doing nice things and you don't do anything nice outside of the religion. You're not enjoying life with other people. You're not expanding your horizon, nothing. And that's gonna eat you up from the inside. And that's happening now. So I hope this Watchtower will wake up a lot of people to reflect on their lives and think, why am I still doing this? They pretend they know everything, but on the other hand, for the things that matter the most important thing is Judgment Day, is Armageddon, is war, it's crushing billions of people, murder billions of people for our happiness. And I'm going to live in that house after. They're gonna live maybe in my house here after Armageddon. Maybe they're walking here and say, oh, I'm gonna live there. But there's nothing on the information on Paradise Earth. Will we have birth control in paradise? How is it gonna go are we going back to ancient times, or are there still coal plants, or how is the industrialization? Do we still have cars? Do we still have Wi-Fi? Or are we going with the horse to travel and meet people? You don't know nothing about the most important thing there is in that faith. Because if you cut out paradise, there's nothing left of the Jehovah's Witnesses, because that's the only hope. That they're doing it for something, and that something will be paradise. So if you cut out paradise, there is no base anymore for Jehovah's Witnesses to do the things they do now, because they do it only for reward. But that reward is getting further and further and further away, and the governing body says, we don't know, but we know it's near. And with that sentence, they still keep on rolling in those Jehovah's Witnesses, because the Jehovah's Witnesses have invested so much that's not easy for them to let go. So praise you, all the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever your age is, that you could see through it and that you are strong enough to say, I've invested a lot, maybe most of my life, but now is the time I start living my own life on my own conditions and be a good person, but I'm gonna do it my way. So guys, don't fall for this trap of the governing body, that they are looking like humans, that they have the humility, oh yeah, we don't know, but on the other hand, they do know what they are doing, and they're tricking you in every way they can. So don't fall for this trap. See through it, start your critical thinking, and start living your own life. Thank you guys for watching. See each other on the next episode.